FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio. This is The Odds Couple on GrindCityMedia.com. Handicapping all the football action, here's Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.
And hello, good people. Welcome to The Odds Couple as we get you set for Week 11 of the college football season. After an entertaining, exciting Week 10, we will have our picks coming up for you a little bit later on after a week after Lang Whitaker went 7-0 on this very program with his picks. Very nicely done.
How you like
Lang.
that?
Picked up a lot of Grind City units last week.
That would have been a hell of a parlay, Lang.
Somebody would listen to me. We might have had a hell of a parlay.
Great week for Lang last week. Great week here in Memphis last week as well. Today we'll look ahead to this weekend, and Lance Taylor will join us as he does each week to handicap the action coming up this weekend. Also, Vinnie Verno will give us a pick, although he gave us 3 last week. So who knows what we'll get from Vinnie Verno today as well. Plus, we got the game of the century, the latest game of the century coming up this weekend as well. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing
very well. Survived. It was a huge weekend for Memphis. And that was my number one takeaway, was that we don't have to worry. I think everybody thought Memphis was going to get to College game day and lose or something would go wrong. You know what? It worked. It was great.
Great 24 hours.
Beale Street was packed. Everybody was having a party. And then they actually won the game on national television and looked like a great program, and everything looked good. Yeah. So that was number one thing I learned last week. Number 2, Willie Taggart. We hardly knew you.
Yeah.
Didn't make it 2 years.
That didn't work out real well.
No, I mean, it does for him. He's going to make a lot of money out of this. But Florida State back to the drawing board, and I saw Mike Norvell's name getting thrown around this morning. So
yeah, of course.
I think Memphis fans are just going to have to get used to that, right?
Yeah.
Like any job.
If you haven't gotten used to it by now.
Yeah, true. And my other thought, just coming up on the game of the century, because people have been talking about this game for 2 weeks leading into it now, like, is this the time Nick finally gets taken down? Somebody, like, this is the time. Like, if LSU wins this, Alabama could be out of the national championship picture. Is this it?
Out of the playoff picture altogether, which would be shocking at this point. Although that'd be one loss, and not in the SEC championship, so maybe they ride that wave of just everyone else losing and get themselves in. But you know, I told you last week that I was very close already to the point of this was going to be the time that I pick against Alabama.
Yeah, what happened?
I've decided no. I'm just taking Alabama, not even thinking about it, not even studying it. I got Nick. I'm taking the Tide, and I'd rather go down with the Tide than pick against them and then them come out and do what they've done for so many years now. So I'm taking Alabama and just going to enjoy the football game.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to enjoy it if you take Alabama. I mean, you can take Alabama.
Yeah, we'll get to those picks. We'll get Lance's thoughts on those as well. A couple of things that I learned, you know, game day for how great it was, and it was. I mean, the morning on Beale Street was awesome. The look was amazing. The energy was amazing. And then the game, as you mentioned. I mean, everything was – it was a perfect 24 hours. But the excitement leading into it, what's crazy about it is it's over so fast.
Yeah.
You know, 3 hours later, it's like, that was amazing, but it's already gone. I mean, you want it to last all day and last the whole weekend. And the excitement lasted through the night with the victory on the field. But it's amazing the production of it. And, you know, last week watching them build the set behind us and everything that goes into it and all the bars getting open early and everything about the city. And this is huge for the whole city of Memphis. And then it's like all the time you spend talking about it, 3 hours later, it's packing it up and moving on to the next city. It's amazing how fast it goes.
It's really like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Well, for here. I mean, it's the first time it's happened here. So it was funny because that Friday night I ended up – Indie Memphis Film Festival was happening, and I had to go to a screening that got out around midnight. And I was talking to a couple people at midnight on Friday night, and they were just talking very casually about waking up at 5 o'clock on Saturday morning to come down here. Like, nobody had any qualms about waking up and losing sleep. And like, this is something you want to experience. And Memphis showed out.
The other thing about that game, has Sonny Dykes explained why he went for 2?
No.
To cover the spread at the end of the game? I mean, in that situation, there's really no explanation of going for the 2. If you're going to go for the 2, you go for it on the next touchdown instead of going for it early. I mean, I've tried to really think it through in my head since it happened, thinking, well, if you go for 2 here, and if you miss, well, then you can go for 2 on the next one. And if you go for 2 here and you get the touchdown, then you win the game. But that really doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, I don't know why he did it. You know why?
But that line going to 6.5, it covered.
You got to cover that line.
Got to cover that line. For those SMU boosters, I guess.
Some coaches are aware of the line, and they got to cover that line.
That can't be the reason that he did it. Even if you gave him truth serum, that cannot be the reason that he did it. But I don't understand why he did it.
Well, I think it's you have to get it. You're going to have to get a, what they're probably going to have to get. He's trying to win the game.
Okay.
So if he doesn't go for 2 there, then he's going to go for it the next time. So you go for it that time.
Yeah, but you're supposed to go for it the next time.
But then if you don't get it that first time, you still, if you get the onside kick, you get the ball back, well, you can go for 2 and tie the game and go to overtime.
But you could. I mean, but again, the answer to that would be, yeah, but if you just get it to 7, I mean, you at worst. Yeah. I mean, what if the next time, you need that touchdown, and let's say you don't get it, and you're right, and you can come back and get the 2 on the final touchdown. What if you get a false start penalty, and now all of a sudden you're at the 10, and you have to get the 2? It just doesn't register.
I mean, I would think criticizing this would be easier to do if the play they ran did not score so easy, like the easiest 2-point conversion ever.
Like he could have gone for 2 on the next one, too.
Right.
If he wanted to.
They could have. I mean, it looked like that play they ran. Like they probably could have just run that play like 10 times, and I don't think Memphis was going to stop it.
I wonder why he showed the play. Like that's a play that you could use at some point to clearly get a easy 2 when you need it. You don't need it there. Like save that
for the next.
Yeah,
I don't know. Whatever. But that's fine. You're wearing the dogs today. I'm still not confident in Georgia. Are you?
Yeah.
I mean, you confident in the Auburn game? You confident that they have a chance in the SEC title game?
Well, the Auburn game doesn't matter now at this point.
Well, not to get to the SEC title game.
When we get to the title game. I was thinking about this today. What happens if LSU beats Alabama and then Georgia beats LSU in the championship game? Like, Georgia could win the SEC and maybe not even make the college football playoff. If they lose the Auburn game heading into that, like it could be really messy. Georgia has a chance to mess this thing up for everybody else.
Yeah.
I would say this. With Lawrence Cager made a huge impact on that Florida game. Jake Fromm did what he does, 1,000 cuts, he little dump passes, dumped it. There's so many plays in that game. There was like 3rd and 12, and he threw a 4-yard pass, and they converted.
Right.
Somehow they were able to convert. I don't think that happens all the time, but I think if they have those healthy receivers like that, they couldn't run the ball against Florida. Yeah. Florida couldn't run the ball against them. So you're relying on your quarterback, and Georgia has one of the best, most reliable quarterbacks. I mean, that's the best thing you can say about Fromm. Like he's probably not the most exciting, but he is reliable.
Yeah, and I think that for Georgia, the positive too was it felt like they were in control the whole game.
Yeah, I felt like they won by. I mean, I know they won by 7, but it felt like they won by 14.
Yeah, and I do want to congratulate you, Lang, and we will be presenting an odds couple plaque at some point to you for you to give to Kirby Smart and Dan Mullen and present them with the most boring football game on earth played on Saturday. That game set football back about 50 years. It is play action fake. Oh, they're going to do something? Nope. 4 yards out to the fullback. Going to keep doing this all day.
You're just talking about Georgia.
It's like It's just like 1992 football all over again.
Yeah, it was. It was. If you liked the defense, I guess it was one.
Yeah.
But that was about it. And Georgia, 3rd down, they were absolutely amazing, going 12 of 18 on 3rd down. It was a big day for the Memphis Tigers, hosting game day and then getting the win over SMU 54-48. Huge day for Antonio Gibson, 386 total yards, 3 touchdowns in the game. Brady White threw for 350 and 3 touchdowns as well. They win their 6th straight against the Mustangs, but it was more than just the win. It was a great day for the University of Memphis, and head coach Mike Norvell talked about it being so special.
Down to Bill Street this morning, and I'm telling you, I got goosebumps the second I got out of the car. We got off that bus here tonight, and to hear the eruption of all the Tiger Nation on that Tiger Walk, man, that was special. And it wasn't, our guys, man, we talk about all the time about who we represent and what we represent. And you get a chance to see the support. You get a chance to feel the energy. I mean, it's something that you never forget. I tell these guys all the time, and you always represent the name that's on the back of the jersey, but forever, these guys are going to be Memphis Tigers. And so they always represent the name that's on the front of it. And man, they've done an exceptional job. And we asked our Tiger faithful to come out and be great today. Sellout crowd, right? Unbelievable atmosphere. The city of Memphis and all the Tiger Nation was great today. And I'm glad we had an opportunity to come out 1-0 with our opportunity as well.
Tigers now 8-1, 4-1 in the conference. They got the week off before they will head to Houston next week to take on the Cougars.
Well, why'd you lose to Temple? Why did they lose to Temple? Like, that's all great. We got support. Fans are here. Well, you lost to Temple.
Yeah. Although the loss at the time that it came, because we thought after they lost to Temple, no way they'll ever have game day.
Right.
And we thought, well, that does it for Cotton Bowl aspirations.
Right.
But now it's all kind of back. I mean, if you beat Temple and you come into next week and then lose to Houston, it probably ruins everything. But to be in the position they're in now, they've been able to bounce back from it and still have themselves in really good position. Why'd you lose to Temple?
Is Cotton Bowl the aspiration? That's our big hope here.
Yeah, right?
Okay, I guess.
What bigger do you want?
I mean, I
playoff? That's not happening.
Power 5, I think, has got to be your aspiration somehow.
Well, sure. Next time that comes around.
And you make a good case for it if you can like run the table and show out on game day and all that stuff. But you lose to Temple.
Georgia Bulldogs, they ended up beating Florida in that game we were talking about, 24-17, beat the Gators for the third straight time from 279 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Bulldogs were 12 of 18 on third down. Florida just 2 of 9 on third down. Afterwards, Kirby Smart talked about his team embracing the challenge.
You know, coming into this game, win or lose, we wanted our leaders to guide us. We talked long and hard throughout the week about composure, discipline, and physicality. We tried to really make it simple for our guys. Don't lose your composure, no stupid penalties, no fighting, no chippiness, discipline. Just do your job. And then physicality is who we are, and we embrace that each day, and we had guys stand up and talk about it. And then we delivered a good message to them, I felt, Thursday and Friday about Michael Johnson. Great track spinner, probably one of the greatest athletes to play, track athletes to ever be in the U.S. uniform. And he embraced the pressure. He embraced it. He wore gold shoes with the expectation that he was going to win both races, the 2 and the 4, and we kind of showed him what's special about that. And I really thought our players embraced the challenge today.
Did not expect the Michael Johnson speech. He is one of the great athletes to play.
Yeah, I didn't know where that came from. I had to listen to it back to say, really? Michael Johnson? Is that who we were talking about?
That Michael
Then
Johnson?
I thought, was he a Gator maybe? Or, was he a Bulldog maybe?
No,
but
no.
He wasn't. I don't know. He also talked about quieting the outside noise. That was a big deal for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I don't know who was talking. Like, really? Like, were people talking about Georgia? Like,
yeah.
I mean, at this point, Georgia is just hanging in there by a fingernail trying to be the team to mess it up for Alabama or LSU. And, they got Missouri this week, and it feels like they're in position.
Yeah.
Even though they lost to South Carolina, they're still in position now to win this thing on the East and have a chance to mess it up for everybody else.
Yeah, 17-point favorite against Mizzou this week. This week, we got the game of the century, the latest game of the century, number 1 against number 2, LSU and Alabama. The Tide come in as a 6.5-point favorite over the Tigers. LSU 6-1 against the spread so far this season, 8-2 in their last 10 against top 10 opponents. Their 2 losses, both to Alabama. Ed Orgeron 9-3 against top 10 opponents since he left Ole Miss. They're 2-6 on the road against top 10 opponents. However, they have won the last 2, and they've gone over in 7 of their last 10, however, under in 2 straight. Ed Orgeron. I'd love to hear from Ed Orgeron. Talks about the Tide.
Well, guys, what a great week for LSU. Get on to Alabama, big game for our football team, big game for our fans. Great week for LSU Tigers. We're looking forward to this week's of preparation. It's focusing on our football team, on our fundamentals, and our tackling, and get better. A little scouting report on Alabama's offense, as you guys probably know very well. The offense is a spread. Return start of 6. Almost 50 points a game, 49 points a game, 506 yards total. Rushing 168, 338 passing. Tua is a fantastic player, as we all know. Great competitor. We totally expect him to play.
Yep, I'd expect him to play.
Thanks for the scouting report
on the Tide.
The last big game Tua played, Alabama lost by 28.
That's true. Now, Alabama, they have outscored SEC opponents this year 47-20.
Yeah, but which SEC opponents? Come on.
They've also won 31 straight at home, 45-6 their last 51 SEC games at home. 2 of those 6 losses, however, have come to LSU. 24-13 against top 5 opponents, 8-4 against the number 1 team in the country, and 9-4 against teams that start the season 7-0 or better. Alabama's won 8 straight head-to-head against LSU, and 4 of the last 5 have gone under in the matchup. Nick Saban talking about the matchup with the Tigers.
When you play teams like this, I think the most important thing you can do is focus on what you have to do to prepare and know that execution is going to be critical in the game, and try to have a great week in terms of how you practice and prepare for the game and focus on that. You know, you guys always ask me, what are you going to do different this week because you're playing the number 1 team in the country? Well, you know, every game that we play is an important game, especially when you're playing in the SEC, especially when you're playing in your division. And this is most certainly an important game. But if there was a better way to do it, we'd already be doing it.
I guarantee you, he said, you guys always ask, what are you going to do different? I guarantee no person asked him, what are you going to do different this week? No. They know, like, this is what he does.
He goes in knowing what he's going to say to you people.
The one other thing I thought was interesting is LSU today, it sounds like Michael Divinity is not going to play in this game. And I keep seeing on Twitter and stuff, sack leader, Michael Divinity. So I looked it up. You know how many sacks he has in the season?
No.
3.
3.
Yeah. There's about 8 other guys with 2. So, like, he's the sack leader.
He's one of the guys.
I mean, I don't think they're going to – he's a great player, but I think they'll be able to compensate for that.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that one with Lance Taylor coming up here in a little bit. A couple of other matchups, some out-of-conference matchups for SEC opponents. Arkansas, 2.5-point favorite against Western Kentucky. Arkansas 1-5 against the spread their last 6. They have failed to cover their last 3 at home. Western Kentucky's 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games. And New Mexico State visits Ole Miss. You talk about a couple of teams that are terrible trend-wise. Ole Miss has covered 4 of their last 5, but they've lost 2 or 3 non-conference games. They're 11-20 against the spread the last 3 years. New Mexico State 3-10-1 their last 14 against the spread. 5-15 against the spread the last 2 years. 4-14 against the spread as an underdog. 4-12 against the spread against non-conference opponents. Under looks good. 7 of the last 10 at home for Ole Miss have gone under, and New Mexico State's gone under in 7 of their last 10. So maybe the under, the play for Ole Miss and New Mexico State.
Sounds like
and what should be a doozy. Speaking of doozy, Vinnie Verno brings it every single week here on the program, and we are blessed to have Vinnie Verno turn on his music. He is in studio with us here. 2011.
Remember that.
Vinnie Verno, ladies and gentlemen.
2011. You know what happened in 2011?
What happened?
Tell us.
The number 1 song in America was by Adele. What a fox.
Something I've
you
never heard
it all before. Roll it into the... You remember that song?
Yeah.
Great song. The number 1 movie, The Social Network. Also Harry Potter. Feels like forever ago, right?
Sure.
That we first were introduced to Harry Potter. Kim Kardashian, you know her? She's married to the Jesus guy now. She was married to Chris Humphries.
Oh, yeah.
That's 2011, that happened. Also the last time LSU beat Alabama. You heard it all before 2011, and here we go again.
This year's different. This year's different. This year's different. This year's different, Vinny.
No, it's not. 2011.
8 years ago. Yeah.
8, roll it into deep. Harry Potter.
Chris Humphries.
Chris Humphries. The game of the century, game of the year, game of the millennium. LSU goes to Alabama. Sam Ehlinger had 409 yards and 4 touchdowns against LSU. And you say,
well, Vinnie Verno, they've done pretty good against the other guys.
Bo Nix, Kyle Trask. Wait till they get a load of Tua Tagovailoa. Ow, 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 ow. The Hawaiian is back and he is pissed.
Bama's beaten them 5 of the last 6 times by double digits. The last time that they didn't beat them by 6, that's the line this week, 2012.
But this year's different. But this year's different.
You've heard it every year for 8 friggin' years in a row. I've heard it all before. Rolling in the deep. What a fox she is.
Chris Humphries.
I love big women.
She's a little smaller now.
I still love her. I don't even know what that means. What does rolling in the deep mean? Deep what? That was the song that was friggin' forever ago. Alabama, -6. It's my social network rolling in the deep. Chris Humphries.
2011.
It don't even matter if it's Mac Jones. I could throw to Judge Judy. The verdict is guilty by ass kicking. And I just heard you saying that kid from LSU. Yeah, why is he out? Did he get suspended? Is he injured? What is it? Personal reason. Yeah, he don't want to get his ass kicked by Alabama. You've heard it all before. What a fuck. One night with Adele. One night. We would have so many baby Adeles.
Vinnie Verno, ladies and gentlemen, rolling in the deep here on The Odds Couple. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Lance Taylor's going to join us. We'll get his thoughts on the game of the century, the 2011 Rolling in the Deep game, coming up when we come back here on The Odds Couple.
Millions of fans have witnessed the concert experience that launched a one-of-a-kind rock holiday tradition. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, live in concert. The all-new Christmas Eve and Other Stories, presented by Hallmark Channel. December 19th, FedEx Forum. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Another Beaver production.
WWE returns to Memphis for the first time in 2020 with Friday Night SmackDown. Friday night, January 3rd at FedEx Forum. You'll see Roman Reigns.
You must have not got the memo.
Braun Strowman.
Somebody is going to get these hands.
Sasha Banks. SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley. The Fiend. Bray Wyatt and more. Tickets available this Friday at high noon at the box office and Ticketmaster.
Grizz Nation! Download the all-new, all-access, all-in-one Grizzlies mobile app. Get 3 new experiences with one app, including a fresh Grizzlies look and feel, along with new access to FedEx Forum events and Grind City Media news and notes on all things Grizzlies, football, and more. From podcasts to purchasing tickets, playing Pop-A-Shot, and more, the new Grizzlies app has it all. So don't delay. Upgrade your experience and download the new Grizzlies app today. Available now at the App Store and Google Play.
Just keep global pop sensation Ariana Grande live in concert. The Sweetener World Tour 2019. FedEx Forum, Saturday, December 7th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The #1 selling album, Sweetener, is available everywhere. There's more at arianagrande.com.
I'm living, so we turn it up.
Welcome back to GrindCityMedia.com, live from FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio. Now, here's more of the Odds Couple, Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.
Don't miss the Grizzlies of tomorrow when the Memphis Hustle tip off their season Friday, November 8th against the Texas Legends at Landers Center at 7 p.m. Fans will want to arrive early as the first 3,000 will receive Hustle fanny packs. Go to memphishustle.com, call 901-888-HOOP, or visit the Landers Center box office to purchase tickets today. Arkansas's got Western Kentucky this week. They are a 2.5-point favorite. Last week, it felt like it was the one. If they're going to win an SEC game, they're going against an average Mississippi State team. Maybe that would be the one. They lost 54-24 in front of the lowest crowd since the stadium expanded in 2001. The last SEC home win for Arkansas was November 5th of 2016.
I saw some Arkansas fans holding up signs of Chad Morris on game day, trying to get SMU to take him back.
That was not that's probably what they're rooting for at this point, because things are bad and don't look like they're getting any better.
No, they're about to get better. Did you see the new quarterback this week?
Jerry Jones' kid?
Jerry Jones' grandson.
Grandson? Yeah.
John Stephen Jones, 5'11".
Oh, my goodness.
199 pounds.
Yeah, that ought to do it. Chad Morris, before the season, talked about what his goals were for year 2.
I think when you look at expectations for year 2 and wins and losses, and I'm not going to put a number on it.
You better not.
But I know as inside our program and talking to our seniors and our leaders, and they want to leave their legacy. And getting this program into the postseason is definitely a goal of ours. And it's something that we have talked about, and we started talking about it 235 days ago. But it was going to take a lot. How far do you really want to go with this? You know, and so I definitely believe that, I'm asking for our football program and our staff to be consistent and to be the best they can be each and every day.
Oh, man. That was word salad right there.
How many trips to Club Dub or the Dub Club? Yeah.
I think we've had one.
One.
And this week a chance against Western Kentucky.
Oh, I like Western Kentucky.
I do too.
Yeah, I like Western Kentucky.
I do too.
I don't know, man. I hate it. I'm sorry, but those Arkansas seniors, they left their legacy. They sure did.
The only reason you're starting Jerry Jones' grandson?
Yeah.
I don't know. The biggest booster. I need him on my side.
I mean, talk about sucking up to your boss.
Right.
Like, this is the ultimate sucking up to your boss moment.
need the biggest booster on my side if I want to save my job.
Ooh. Joining us now, he's the host of the Roundtable WJOX in Birmingham. He's on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor, and you can check out his picks daily at lanceslock.com. Lance Taylor joins us. Lance, good afternoon.
I just don't understand John Stephen Jones wanting to play quarterback for Arkansas. Process of elimination, one day he's going to own the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
And last week was the 5th time they've used multiple quarterbacks in a game in 9 games this year. So obviously they have not figured that out. Chad Morris's future, to go over in the SEC 2 years in a row, I don't know how you keep him.
No, you really can, and you look at what just happened to Willie Taggart, and, we go back to Bobby Petrino laying down a motorcycle. I think even though it was a university employee, if they could go back, they would look the other way. I mean, that's good things for Arkansas, and even Brett Gilliam days.
Yeah.
That looks not nearly as bad as this complete dumpster that right now. I mean, they're not even competitive, and I kind of agree with you guys. I mean, I as hell wouldn't play Arkansas. If I've got to play that game in Western Kentucky, and I feel like a complete idiot. Back in the summer, we do weird bets on the show, and one of the bets I had Arkansas to have more SEC conference wins than Tiger Woods would have wins on the tour this year. And Tiger Woods ended up with 1 win. Arkansas is going to end up with 0, so I'll lose that bet.
Yeah, no kidding. We got the game, the latest game of the century coming up this week. Game number 1 against number 2, LSU. Heads to Alabama, and Lance, my thought is I'm not even thinking about it, not studying the deal. I'm just taking Alabama because I'd rather go down taking Alabama than go down not taking them.
Yeah, Rob, it's really a good philosophy when you think about it, because Alabama's typically not in these spots where you can get them under 7 points. And you go back to that 2011 game in Tuscaloosa where LSU wins at 9-6 in overtime. Well, since that meeting, Alabama's won 8 consecutive games against LSU, and LSU is averaging 9 points per game in those contests. The focus this week has obviously been on the health of Tua Tagovailoa. From what I hear behind the scenes, he's going to be close to 100%, which is hard to believe, but that's what people are saying. And I think 100% Tua with that receiver corps at home, I just think this offense is unstoppable. LSU has been a huge surprise with Joe Burrow, who, by the way, is completing 79% of his passes. That's complete insanity. But I just think at the end of the day, Alabama will outscore them, and I'm not going to get bit taking LSU in the points here. I will lay it as well. I will take Alabama minus the 6.5.
Yeah, Georgia with a nice win last week as they beat Florida, and they win the game by 7, but it felt like they controlled the game most of the way. This week they take on a Missouri team that has just been dreadful away from home this year. 3 times they've been a double-digit favorite and have lost straight up in those 3. But they have been great against the number against the Georgia Bulldogs in the last 7 years. But tough to like Mizzou on the road right now.
Yeah, it is hard to play Missouri away from Columbia, but at the same time, you got a Georgia team laying 17 points, and the offense just hasn't been there. And I do agree that they did control the cocktail party against Florida, and Jake Fromm played well and didn't make mistakes. And, DeAndre Swift did what he could against, 8, 9 in the box and a really good Florida defense. This is just too many points for me. Georgia's won 5 consecutive games against Missouri. They've won 6 of the last 7 meetings. As you said, Missouri's been good against the number, and it's just too many points in this spot. I think Georgia obviously wins the game, but I think Missouri covers the number.
Yeah, Tennessee at Kentucky this week. Are we thinking Tennessee? Are we thinking too much that Tennessee's turned it around?
Well, they're playing like it. The last 6 quarters, what have they outscored opponents 54-6? They've been completely dominant. Second half against South Carolina and the entire game against UAB. But just when you think Tennessee turns the corner, something bad will happen. And I can't believe Lynn Bowden's been doing what he's doing with no help around him, and Kentucky's actually finding a way to be competitive and actually win a couple of games. This number is just strange to me. I know the game's in Lexington, but this number to be a pick is a little weird, especially with the way Tennessee has played the last 6 quarters. I'm a contrarian at heart. I've got to take Kentucky here. I got to take Kentucky at home at a pick.
Yeah, and then we got another matchup of 2 undefeateds as well. Penn State heading to Minnesota this week. Minnesota, their resume isn't great. Penn State, when they've been in this spot in the past against ranked opponents, they've struggled, but the last couple of times they've come through. They've covered the number. They've won the game. Do they do it again this week against the Gophers?
Yeah, you're right. You go back to Iowa. I was surprised that Penn State was able to survive that. I actually had them against Michigan laying 7.5. They get up 21-0. They end up winning that game by 7, so they were able to survive that. Now they're playing a Minnesota team, and you mentioned the resume. It's not great, but they are undefeated for the first time since 1941. By the way, they won a national championship that year. You can get them at 100-1 right now if you guys are interested in taking a flyer on Minnesota to win a national championship. I'm going to pass. But Tanner Morgan's a good, solid quarterback. P.J. Fleck, this team plays with a lot of confidence. They play mistake-free. And as you said, the resume's bad. But after that first month where they struggled to win games, the month of October, 4 opponents, they outscored by an average of 31 points per game. None of those games were even close. It's still the Big Ten. I'm getting close to a touchdown at home. I'll take Minnesota here. I'm not going to be surprised at all if the Golden Gophers pull off an upset.
We're now halfway through the NFL season. What has stood out in this NFL season thus far?
Well, I think we got a lot of balance. It really started the NFC, but we finally get the Patriots after 13 consecutive wins going back last year to the postseason. They finally lose the game to the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not ready to anoint Lamar Jackson and the Ravens the second-best team in the AFC, but I think it is really unpredictable. I don't think you can just pencil in New England and then whoever out of the NFC. And I do think there's 4 or 5 really good teams in the NFC. So I just think we've got a lot of parity as we typically have in the NFL, but it was nice seeing the Patriots finally lose.
Yeah. What do you like this week in the Shield?
Well, and this is so ironic that I give you guys Minnesota, which I love, going against the backup quarterback, and Matt Moore, and, they find a way to win that game in Arrowhead. And it was the only game I lost. I was 4-1 in the NFL last week, and I lost the one I gave you guys. With that said, this Seattle Seahawks team is sitting at 6-2. They should be more like 4-4 after they survive Tampa. Tampa coming off that difficult loss. This Tampa Bay Bucs team can score points. And now they're at home against an Arizona Cardinals team that will give up a lot of yards. Kyler Murray will make some plays. Arizona will be able to score. But I ultimately like Tampa minus the 4.5. I hate backing rat teams and rat quarterbacks, but I'm going to do it here. I like Tampa Bay minus the 4.5.
Yeah, you give us one NFL pick per week, but as you mentioned, you had 5 last week going 4-1, and you can get those picks at lanceslock.com. And what else do folks get when they go to the site?
Yeah, it's really simple. We're starting college hoops tonight, and we right now we're 7-3-1 in the NBA. We were 4-3 on our Saturday slate last week. We've been winning. It's been a really, really good fall. Just try us out. We give you a free play every single day. You got nothing to lose by just monitoring the site and checking out that. We also tweet out a free play every day. But it's only $90 a month. It's $3 a day, simple math. Most services charge $90 for a full day. So give us a shot. Just look at lanceslock.com. But we play everything: NBA, college basketball, obviously the NFL, and the college football slates as well.
Sounds great. Lance, always a pleasure, man. Thank you much for your time this week.
Thanks. Talk to you fellas next week.
Appreciate it. Lance Taylor joining us here on the Odds Couple and giving his picks for the week. That Tennessee-Kentucky game is an interesting one. It's been anywhere from Kentucky being favored by 2.5 to the spread being even. It's been kind of up and down that way, but it hasn't really favored Tennessee, which, again, are we looking too much into Tennessee being back?
You said it's an interesting game, and I was going to say to who?
Tennessee's been fun now. The ATM's fixed. The ATM's fixed.
I actually believe in Tennessee right now. They're playing very well. We know defensively they're good enough. They've got some big, young offensive linemen. They can move the ball. I think Tennessee's going to win that game straight up, but I don't really care about that game, to be honest with you.
It is crazy. If they did not just totally crap the bed against Georgia State and just blow the BYU, I mean, they absolutely blew the BYU game at the end, like you could be looking at a possible 8-9 win season.
They'd
for
be
Tennessee.
6-3 right now.
Yes.
But they've played a terrible schedule. I mean, look at the teams they have beat. it's like, hold on, I'm bringing it up here because it's not good. The teams that they've won against.
But South Carolina's their best win.
South Carolina's their best win. They beat
Mississippi State.
Chattanooga.
Yeah, Chattanooga, Mississippi State.
South
Carolina,
Alabama,
UAB.
South Carolina, UAB.
Yeah.
Right, but it is like if you beat Georgia State and BYU, you're sitting at 6 wins, and like you do have a possibility at an 8-9 win season.
Yeah,
I got a prediction. Tennessee's going to get to 6 wins.
I need them to get to 7 wins. I need them to win every game the rest of the way.
I would have told you that ain't happening. But
I would. Well, it would be possible if they had Missouri in Knoxville because we know Missouri can't play on the road.
Yeah, and they're a different team at home for sure. Jeremy Pruitt, coming off the UAB win, however, says that there are things that they need to be better at.
Offensively, really didn't start very fast. Kind of played behind the chains. Too many negative plays. You run for 6 yards and the next play's -3, where you throw an incomplete pass. Didn't protect very well. Excuse me. Didn't protect very well at all. And probably had a couple of throws out there we had a chance to make and didn't hit the guys there. So very disappointed with the turnover right before half. Had a good little drive there going there, made some good plays and made a poor decision, and you never take points off the board, and that's what we did there. So we can't make those mistakes moving forward.
Tennessee has covered 4 straight games. They've won 2 of their last 3 against the SEC, despite losing 18 of 22. They have won 2 of the last 3. Under in 5 of their last 6 on the road. Kentucky has covered 4 of their last 5 at home. They've won 10 of their last 12 at home. 6-15 against the spread following an SEC conference game. And they've gone under in their last 5, including the last 2 at home. Head-to-head, Tennessee has won 32 of the last 34 against Kentucky, including 6 of the last 7. Tennessee has covered 6 of the last 7 in the series as well.
Great.
It's gone over in 4 of the last 5. I'm more intrigued by this one than you.
I don't care.
With you, Fish. I'm interested in this game.
I just want to see if they can keep playing competent.
Well, I'm also interested because the line opened at 4 for Kentucky, and it has gone to 1 for Tennessee. It's like, dude, were those? That appears to be like sharps in Vegas that hammered that all the way. I mean, for a line to move that much in 24 hours,
you know what
48
happened?
hours.
No, it's what else starts tonight, or starts this week. Kentucky basketball
starts tonight.
Yeah. So people are stopping paying attention about Kentucky football.
Starting
the
this
focus
week.
has turned this way.
I don't
That's
think they
exactly
ever
what's
paid
happening.
attention to Kentucky football.
A little bit. Last year they did until they lost to Georgia.
One other big conference game, another one of competent football, although one team's competent, the other is not. Vanderbilt's at Florida this week. 25.5-point spread. Vandy's 1-7 against the spread so far this season. Their last 35 SEC losses, 24 by double digits. They're 3-19 on the road against SEC opponents. They've lost 10 of their last 12 on the road, haven't covered their last 3, and they've lost 14 straight against top 10 opponents. Florida 23-6, their last 29 at home. Head-to-head, Florida's won 27 of the last 28, including the last 5. They're 22-2-1 at home against the Doors. Florida has covered the last 2, and 11 of the last 14 have gone over in this series, including the last 2. I'm less intrigued about that game than I am about the very competent game of Tennessee and Kentucky.
It's crazy. I care more about that game because I want to see if Florida can cover that huge number. I don't really care about the pick.
Because they've had a rough stretch here. Can they come back and
I think so.
Just rebound and destroy a team that they should destroy?
Playing against they should be able to run the ball against They couldn't run it against Georgia, true. So they should be able to run the ball, and that'll open things up, and they should be able to get a lot of points.
Yeah, we'll take a break here on the Odds Couple. We'll come back and wrap things up with our picks for the week. Pay attention. Lang 7-0 last week. Perfect 7-0 last week. Very impressive. We're back with more of the Odds Couple after this.
The voice, the hits, the tour. The wait is over. Celine Dion, Courage World Tour. February 9th, FedEx Forum. The first North American tour in over a decade. Reserve seats on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Celine Dion. Produced by Concerts West. Get tickets now.
Grizz Nation! Download the all-new, all-access, all-in-one Grizzlies mobile app. Get 3 new experiences with one app, including a fresh Grizzlies look and feel, along with new access to FedEx Forum events and Grind City Media news and notes on all things Grizzlies, football, and more. From podcasts to purchasing tickets, playing Pop-A-Shot, and more, the new Grizzlies app has it all. So don't delay. Upgrade your experience and download the new Grizzlies app today. Available now at the App Store and Google Play.
Grizz Nation. All new 10, 22, and flex packs for the Grizzlies 2019-2020 season are on sale now. Save big on single game prices and guarantee your seats to the best games and promotions for the upcoming year, including the Lakers, Warriors, and more. Choose from half season, weekend, and big game plans, plus enjoy extended payment options, all starting at $12 per game. Get your new pack today and call 901-888-HOOP or shop at Grizzlies.com.
Don't miss the Grizzlies of tomorrow when the Memphis Hustle tip off their season Friday, November 8th against the Texas Legends at the Landers Center at 7 o'clock. Fans will want to arrive early as the first 3,000 will receive Hustle fanny packs. Go to memphishustle.com, call 901-888-HOOP, or visit the Landers Center box office to purchase tickets today.
Welcome back to the Odds Couple on GrindCityMedia.com. Live from FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio. Here's the Odds Couple, Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.
Hey, it's time, Memphis. Join Jaren Jackson Jr., John Morant, your Memphis Grizzlies this Saturday at 7 p.m. as they play host to Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks for the Veterans Day game presented by Ashley Furniture Home Store. Get Memphis and get your tickets today to see your next Gen Grizz by calling 901-888-HOOP or clicking Grizzlies.com. We welcome you back to the Odds Couple. This week, South Carolina's got an interesting matchup against App State. Would have been more interesting had App State not lost last week and continued to be a ranked opponent coming to Columbia.
Yeah.
But still kind of, is this one interesting at all to you?
A little bit. I would have liked to have seen, if they were ranked, it's a little more interesting, but I still think South Carolina's the better team.
Yeah.
You know.
We've seen at times, at least this year, that they're a better team.
Yeah, if they can keep Helinski upright, like that seems to be the way to go, but they've had problems with that.
Yeah, South Carolina 4-point favorite over App State. The total is 51. A big win last week for South Carolina as they smoked Vandy 24-7. They've won 11 straight against the Doors, and Will Muschamp said the crowd was a big factor.
Well, the season hasn't gone exactly the way we wanted to, and I can't thank our fans enough. That was unbelievable, and our players appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's the best I've ever been anywhere I've ever been as far as the support and the passion that they have for us and support for us and making a difference on game day, and just absolutely amazing. And we need it again next week. It's senior night. We've got a bunch of guys that mean an awful lot to this program and personally to me. We need to support them and send them out the right way. And I know that our crowd will be there to support us. Really proud of our guys. An SEC win at home, and we'll get ready for next week.
South Carolina 5-2 against the spread. Their last 7 at home. They're 31-3 against non-conference opponents at home. 16-1 all-time against Sun Belt opponents. And they've won 10 of 11 games against teams from North Carolina. They did lose the state of North Carolina. They did lose the last one, however, when they lost to North Carolina.
You almost killed Rosa with that nugget.
Let me repeat it. 10 of 11 they've won against teams from the state of North Carolina. Also, App State, however, 13-1 in their last 14 games straight up. Against the spread, their last 25, they're 17-6-2 against the spread, but just a 4-point favorite for the Gamecocks. Also, Missouri in Athens to take on the Georgia Bulldogs this week. Georgia, a big favorite over Mizzou this week. Mizzou's lost 3 straight on the road. They've lost 11 of 12 against ranked opponents. 4-46 against top 10 opponents since 1991. They have 1 road win against top 10 opponents since 1981, although that was against Georgia in 2013. Lost 7 of 8 following a bye week, although they did win their last one. And the Missouri Tigers, this was supposed to be where they came into this game undefeated, and they came into a month where they've dominated. They have won 9 straight in the month of November. But things changed as this year went along. Georgia, meanwhile, just 2-3 against the spread in their last 5, 1-2 the last 3 against SEC opponents. That's against the spread. 14-4 against the number against winning teams. 70-5 straight up at home against unranked opponents. And 16 of their last 17 home wins have been by 14 or more points. The only one that wasn't was Notre Dame. And they've won 17 of their last 18 against the SEC East. Georgia's won 7 of 8 in the series, including the last 5, but Mizzou in the last 6, 5-1 against the spread against the Georgia Bulldogs, and the last 2 have gone over. Well, that scare Lang this week. It is time for our picks. We'll start with my 5 this week. I'm taking Alabama just because. That's it.
Because what?
Because I don't want to go down picking against them.
Okay.
So I'm taking Alabama. I'm just going to roll with Alabama and see what happens. I'm taking Tennessee. I believe that Tennessee has gotten more competent. And Kentucky, the whole Bowden at the quarterback / receiver / running back, I just can't imagine it continuing to work as well as it has.
Yeah.
I like Penn State in this spot against Minnesota minus the 6.5. I like Wisconsin this week over Iowa. Wisconsin, they are giving 8.5 against Iowa. Wisconsin 35-19 against the spread after a bye. They've won and covered the last 2 meetings. They've won 6 of the last 7 against Iowa as well. And my other one, I'm taking South Carolina minus the 5.5 against App State. As you said before, I think South Carolina is just the better team.
Yeah.
What about Lang's locks this week?
Well, as we know, I went perfect last week.
That's right, 7-0.
Yeah, up almost 300 GCUs on the season. LSU's going to beat Alabama.
Straight up.
And they're going to win by at least a touchdown.
Wow.
So we can talk about Saban and Tua and whatever. I mean, Alabama is not as good as they've been in years past. The defense is beat up. LSU is the best they've been in a long time, and I think LSU is going to win by at least a touchdown.
My fear is I don't think Tua finishes this game.
And then, so you want Mac Jones? You betting on Mac Jones?
I'm betting on Alabama.
Okay. You're betting on ghosts, buddy.
Yeah.
We agree on Tennessee. We agree on Penn State. I got Georgia and Florida giving up huge point spreads in those games. I feel like both of those teams played against each other last week, played against the best opponent they've played against all year, and now they get to take it out a little bit on these smaller teams. So I feel like both of those are going to cover and win big.
All right. We go. Those picks, by the way, that we just made, those are all part of the Grind City Media Pick'em panel, which comes out every Friday on social media. You can check that out at Grind City Media on Twitter. And all the picks against the spread, there are 8 games, and all the Grind City Media members. Let's see if I can get them again for the 11th week in a row. Roser, Michael Wallace, Chris Vernon, Eric Hasseltine, Meghan Triplett, Devin Walker, myself, you.
That's it.
Got it?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Well, all of our picks against the spread each and every week. You can check that out again at Grind City Media. We like to go ahead and pick one off the grid as well. Who are you going off the grid with this week?
Baylor is playing at TCU this week. Let me read you a little paragraph or two from TexasFootball.com.
Okay.
TCU coach Gary Patterson whistled as he walked into the room and said he expects freshman starter Max Duggan to play on Saturday, despite suffering an injury to his throwing hand against Oklahoma State. Even if he plays, Duggan could be the only scholarship quarterback available for the Bears. Wow. Backup senior Alex Delton left the program this week after appearing in 6 games. We keep going. Junior Michael Collins is doubtful to play after suffering an injury of his own. Redshirt freshman Justin Rogers left the team last week. By the way, the Bears ranked number 1 in the Big 12 with 26 sacks in 18 games, number 15 overall. I think I'll go with Baylor in this game.
My goodness. I'm going with Purdue against Northwestern this week. Purdue is 5-1 against the spread in their last 4-1 in their last 5 games against the spread. Now, Northwestern's 4-1 against the spread their last 5 when they play Purdue. Northwestern, every single week, especially against conference opponents, the numbers, the trends have all been in favor of Northwestern all season long. It's a different Northwestern. They are not covering those trends. They are not playing to those trends week in and week out, and I think it's not the case this week either. I'll take Purdue minus the 1.5 at Northwestern.
He's not reading his emails.
No, he's not. What about in the NFL this week? Who you liking?
Well, I've been up and down the NFL. We're out of the month of October, so I can't just lean on the Saints every week anymore, which worked perfectly.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go with who's hot, and Baltimore looked pretty hot against the Chiefs last week. Or Packers. Who was it they played against the other night?
The Patriots.
Good
God, dude.
Whatever.
It didn't matter who it was because Lamar Jackson was running in between everybody.
Yeah.
So, you know who they play this week?
Play the Bengals.
The Bengals, and it's a 10-point spread. Give me them points. I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, only 10. I'm going
You're
with
going
the
with
New
the
Orleans Saints. Yeah, I'm sticking with the Saints because they're playing the lowly Atlanta Falcons. And this is always one of those big rivalry games, but Atlanta's terrible. And New Orleans continues to just cover and count the money. I'll go with the Saints minus the 12.5. Roser, who are you looking at this week?
Yeah, by the way, I like the I do think, Lance went the opposite way of you guys, but I actually do agree with y'all. I think the play for a lot of these people is going to be, Minnesota undefeated and everything. I like the Penn State pick. I think James Franklin may run them. It'll be an emotional game at first. Survive some. If you just try not to turn the ball over at the beginning, but
an emotional game.
It will be for Minnesota. It's in the Twin Cities. They're going to be fired up for this kind of game. But I do think Penn State covers that. Let's go back to the well. Ohio State minus 27 in the first half against Maryland. Look, it may go over 4 touchdowns by the time if you're trying to go to Tunica. If you want to do it online, go ahead and get it now. that first half line will be over 4 touchdowns.
By the time you go to Tunica, is going to be the name of his autobiography.
Yeah. by the time this game kicks off, that first half line will be over 4 touchdowns. I still don't care. I think Ohio State's up 42-0 at halftime. NFL. The Miami Dolphins have actually looked like a competent NFL team the last couple of weeks. They really have. Add that to they're getting 11.5 against Jacoby Brissett, who is banged up, injured. Who knows if he's going to play? And every game the Colts have played this season has been decided by 7 points or less. I'll take the Dolphins plus 11.5.
Yeah, that would be more than 7 points there.
Yes.
Getting the Dolphins plus the 11.5 against the Colts.
I also, if I would give you a bonus one, I kind of like the Chargers minus the 1 on Thursday night against the Raiders. I feel like the Chargers getting healthy, that big win over the Packers. This could be. Is this the point of the season where the Chargers reel off like 5 or 6 wins in a row?
Because they do.
It happens every year. Is this the time that they're starting to get healthy? Is this the time it happens? Or also, is there a prop bet on who gets stabbed first in the stadium between the Raiders and Chargers fans? Which fan dies first, a Raiders fan or a Chargers fan?
Roser pulled me aside last night at the Grizzlies game and was like, the Vegas is catching on to these halftime bets.
These first half lines, they are. Fish and I were talking about it. We both agreed. They're catching
I just like it that you
them.
feel like it's like a conspiracy theory. Like they're catching up to you.
They catch on to these lines. They do catch on to these first half lines. They catch on to all these
Vegas has
lines.
caught Roser.
They caught up to us.
The best time to get the bets in are the first 4 to 5 weeks of the season because after that, Vegas adjusts to everything.
That's right. All right, that's going to do it for us here as we get set for Week 11 of the college football season.
Go Buckeyes!
Go Buckeyes! Go LSU and Bama. That should be a lot of fun. Hopefully it's going to be a lot of fun and live up to the billing this week as those two teams are ranked 1 and 2 in the country. Battle in Tuscaloosa. That's going to do it for us. For Roser, for Kimball, for Lang, I'm Fish. Thanks for joining us. We'll do it again next week here on The Odds Couple. Keep it here on Grind City Media for all the football handicap in action each and every week here on The Odds Couple.
been listening to The Odds Couple from the American Home Shield Studio on GrindCityMedia.com. Tune in next week for more football handicapping with Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.